It's a familiar tale. Prince Harry falls in love with a woman from across the world, and the British media quickly gets in the way. This romance, however, had a very different ending. Prince Harry and Chelsy Davy officially started dating in 2004. The pair met through a mutual friend, Simon Diss, who believed that they would make a good match. Nothing happened just then, however, as Davy was about to graduate and move back to Cape Town, South Africa. Still, by all accounts, Harry seemed smitten with her from the start, so it was probably unsurprising that he reconnected with her when he visited Africa on his gap year. Harry would visit Davy frequently in Africa, their relationship growing more serious the better they got to know each other. At one point, according to Angela Levin's book, Harry, Conversations with the Prince, he even told a school friend that Davy was the love of his life. When that summer ended and the prince had to return to the UK, he promised it would not be long before they'd see each other again. At the beginning of their relationship, it really seemed like Harry and Davy's relationship was going to last. In his memoir, Spare, Harry writes about how she had seemed different to him since their first meeting. The feeling was only reinforced when they reunited in Cape Town. According to Harry, she wasn't visibly fitting herself for a crown the moment she shook my hand. She seemed immune to that common affliction sometimes called throne syndrome.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
This was something that seemed to pleasantly surprise him, as the prince says he had always wondered what it would be like to meet a woman who cared about more than his title. Harry went on to write, "Not only was she uninterested in my title, she seemed bored by it. Oh, you're a prince? Yawn." The problem, of course, was that it was much easier for her to not care about his title when they were in Africa, far away from the British press. Soon enough, the first cracks began to appear. In 2023, during his case against Mirror Group newspapers, Harry told the court, "At least one of my girlfriends told me she was warned off me by her parents saying, 'Is it really worth all the aggravation?'" According to Prince Harry's lawsuit against the Mirror Group, he believes that constant harassment from tabloids was to blame for his disagreements with Chelsy Davy when they were together, and that this ultimately led to their breakup. As he sees it, the press had made up their mind about who Harry was, and so they attempted to manipulate anything that went against the persona they had built. In his witness statement, the prince said, "I always felt as if the tabloids wanted me to be single, as I was much more interesting to them and sold more newspapers. Whenever I got into a relationship, they were very keen to report the details, but would then, very quickly, seek to try and break it up." As none other than King Charles once said to Harry,
"My dad said to me, 'Darling boy, you can't take on the media. The media will always be the media.'"
During the time he was with Davy, Harry claims the tabloids often knew where they would be, even when that information was supposed to be top secret. Essentially, that meant that they were never by themselves. This eventually meant that the couple began to grow suspicious of everyone around them, finding it hard to know who to trust and confide in. It later became clear, however, that the tabloids had acquired this information through phone hacking. Harry added, "Of course, now that we know that this information was invariably obtained by unlawful means, these friendships were lost entirely unnecessarily, which is a matter of huge regret for me." From the moment Harry and Davy arrived in the UK together as a couple, Harry says they were hounded by paparazzi. In his witness statement in June 2023, he told one story of picking her up from the airport. Harry recalled, "I walked into the arrivals hall with a baseball cap on and immediately spotted 5 separate paparazzi sitting on benches with cameras in bags, their hands inside rucksacks and everyone else looking at me." Nevertheless, Harry tried to normalise things for Davy, writing in Spare, "I'd advised Chelsy to treat it like a chronic illness, something to be managed, but she wasn't sure she wanted to have a chronic illness." Harry told her that this level of exposure was simply an inevitable part of being with him. He wrote, "Thereafter, I put the chances at 50-50, maybe 60-40 I'd ever see Chels again. Odds were, the press would cost me another person I cared about." At the time, the prince recalls trying to manage his expectations by telling himself he didn't really have time for a relationship, and that it would therefore be fine if she decided to end things. Being such a well-known public figure, Harry seemed to find Davy's nonchalant attitude towards his status a refreshing change of pace. But as it turned out, the very thing that originally drew him to her would eventually become a great source of reservation. In Spare, reflecting on Davy's distinctly different lifestyle and carefree attitude, Harry wrote, "She wore short skirts and high boots, danced with abandon, drank as much tequila as I did, and I cherished all those things about her. But I couldn't help worrying how Granny might feel about them, or the British public, and the last thing I wanted was for Chels to change to accommodate them." Despite their clear affection for each other, these concerns did not lessen over time, ultimately playing a part in their breakup. Even if Harry's family did like Davy, it seems that the British media was intent on claiming the opposite. Katie Nichols' book, Harry, Life, Loss and Love, says that Harry finally introduced Davy to Prince Charles and Camilla during a Valentine's Day visit in 2005. They seemed to really like her, with Nicholl claiming she was such a hit they invited her to come along on their annual family ski trip. Davy reportedly declined, however. Nicholl writes that Davy's presence would have only encouraged the paparazzi. A month earlier, however, the British tabloids were claiming that Charles didn't necessarily support the relationship. According to Harry's witness statement in 2023, the article reported that I had slammed the phone down on my father and included a quote from a senior aide that described me as being incandescent when my father described my relationship as puppy love and that I had exploded. The article was published as a royal exclusive in the British tabloid The People. While Harry did not deny that there was a disagreement, this media coverage only served to demonstrate the issues the press caused in Harry and Davy's relationship. Perhaps underpinning many of the problems in their relationship, Prince Harry also wasn't sure if Chelsy Davy was the one. Harry recounted in Spare that he told a friend that it takes a certain kind of person to cope with the scrutiny of the British media, and worried that Davy might not have been able to take it. He wasn't sure that he could even ask that of her, which is unsurprising, given that the constant meddling and attention was such a constant point of contention throughout their relationship. Harry wrote, "When she was back in Cape Town, she phoned me and said people were tailing her everywhere and it was driving her crazy. She couldn't imagine how they always knew where she was and where she'd be." Not for the first time, Davy suggested she might not be able to withstand a lifetime of press attention. All Harry could do about it, however, was apologise. For his part, Harry could understand her desire for freedom. He stated that though he would miss her, if I had a choice, I wouldn't want this life either. Reportedly, Harry's time in the British Army caused some upset in his relationship with Davy.
It wasn't done in the wrong way, but it was just...
At that time, Prince Harry had wanted to be stationed in Iraq at the time, and Davy did not share his enthusiasm. He said in his testimony that while the tour was a possibility, she was extremely worried about the prospect of him being shipped overseas. Despite her concerns, the prince was still determined to serve, though a published tabloid piece in Sunday People reportedly mentioned that in one of their arguments, Davy had begged him not to be a hero. Harry recalled a particularly difficult conversation with Davy in his memoir, stating, "What are we doing? Where are we heading? She knew I cared about her, but she felt unseen." There were also reports of Davy getting mad at him for going to strip clubs with his army friends, and even a temporary breakup in 2007 after she found out he had flirted with another woman. By 2010, Harry and Davy were back together again. That May, Davy attended Harry's pilot course graduation at the Army Aviation Centre. Their reunion didn't last very long, however, because, as Prince Harry wrote in Spare, "We had all the same old problems. Nothing had been solved." Before he was expected to return to Afghanistan, they went on one final holiday to Botswana. There, a friend of Harry's helped him realise that their relationship was over. In Spare, Harry recalls sitting in his friend's garden for this conversation. He writes, "She urged us to let this breakup be final. Don't waste the most precious thing there is, time." The prince admits in his memoir that during this trip, the two of them were being willfully delusional that things could still work out between them. Though they were no longer together at the time, Chelsy Davy was still invited to attend Prince William's wedding to Princess Catherine. But it didn't exactly spark a touching reconnection between the ex-couple. According to Angela Levin in Harry, Conversations with the Prince, a friend revealed that seeing the enormity and pomp of the day convinced her that she and Harry had been right to separate. It could never have worked, especially as she valued her privacy and guarded it so carefully. Katie Nicholl also reiterated this claim in Harry, Life, Loss and Love, writing that being part of the royal wedding had made Chelsy's mind up once and for all. The life of a royal bride was not for her. Despite the differences that ultimately led to their breakup, the pair shared one last goodbye over the phone in the week leading up to his wedding to Meghan Markle. In 2022, Davy married Sam Cutmore Scott, a schoolmate of Harry's from Eton College.